Hi, everyone. Welcome to our meeting. Welcome to those who are actually present on this live call and those who are going to join us at the next now moment. We have actually paused our meetings for a while for the summer, and we're resuming our gathering, which is ultimately always about cultivating that part of us that is not in separation. So we're cultivating that part of us that is not in separation. And our human experience is that of mostly duality, plunging into duality. And now we are retracing for those who are ready, or for those who are maybe suffering too much, for those who just want to find out the truth. We're ready to trace ourselves back to that unity. And on this pathless path, what I'm getting to know clearly is that nothing that my mind tells me the path is, that the technique is, that the salvation is, that the solution is, nothing of that is ever it. So it's almost like a game. It never is what the limited personality structure expects. When we say, oh, this is it, I found it, I solved it, it always kind of shifts out of your field of recognition. But what remains is that field where the field that is always there, the field that is not in separation, is then revealed ever deeper. I'd like to read this quote from Aeschylus. He wrote a play called Oresteia. I read it during my studies at the University of Toronto. And he says, in our sleep, pain which cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart, until in our own despair, against our will, comes wisdom through the awful grace of God. I'm going to read it again. In our sleep, pain which cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart, until in our own despair, against our will, comes wisdom through the awful grace of God. And obviously, many wisdom teachings are pointing to the fact that mostly the learning happens through suffering. But I'm not advocating that. I'm not advocating that we actually essentially need suffering in order to transgress into that part of us that is not in suffering, that is not in separation. But I'd like to point out this layer. How many times have we experienced the fact that this human experience is a repeat a repeat of lessons, a repeat of pain, a repeat of situations. Every single person experiences that. And at a certain age, we even click, oh, I'm doing it again and again and again. But notice, there's this attitude of the ego whereby the ego thinks, oh, I am orchestrating this repetition. I am orchestrating the bad choice, the choices that are actually making me fail over and over again. I am making myself bear the same burdens that I try to free myself of. So there's that part of you that says, okay, poor me, or how can I be this or that? I'm doing it again. But if you consider that that part which is not in separation has the wisdom to see that we need to make that bad choice again. We need to loop again. We need to experience pain again. It's kind of like a curriculum. And that part that is not in that separation is so much in unconditional, loving awareness that it allows this human experience to unfold exactly the way it's unfolding. And at least we can now at least ping pong between the fact that, yes, we're having all these human experiences, and they're usually taking over and making us most of the time reactive, unaware. But then the other side of the ping pong is like, but there is a backdrop, and the backdrop is that you, which is not in separation. And again, the ego has a preference. The ego wants that part of you that makes the higher self choice, that has a smooth sailing, that is in flow, that chooses the correct partner, that chooses to behave in the most loving way with our family members or children or spouses. But the curriculum seemingly is set out to be something else. And notice I am flipping back and forth between duality and non-duality. And it's fine, because both are here. Both. No matter what teacher you listen to from history or nowadays, they're all in duality and in non-duality, hopefully, at the same time. I'm going to share my screen and show you a picture because I want to underlie it with an experience. Just a second, I'm pulling up the file. This was actually in Serbia, and I'm going to show you a megalith. So this is not a very special megalith. A megalith is kind of like a high stone structure. This is kind of like not that high. You can see my body in comparison to it. And this is in Rita in Serbia. And this megalith is at the bottom. The mountain is just there above it. And the mountain, the very first time I felt into the mountain, it had this very grounding, beautiful presence of Shiva. It's a very masculine presence. But then, of course, Shiva has a beautifully balanced masculine and feminine side. Shakti is its feminine side, and sometimes Shiva is represented in the Hindu tradition as both. Half his body is Shiva and half is Shakti. And I really felt that force there. But that's not my point. I leaned against this megalith and we met last year. So I had a nice connection to it, and we were very happy to see each other again. And I leaned against it. And there was a direct teaching. The mother, this very deep, nourishing, motherly, Mother Mary energy or presence or consciousness came through. And I'm sitting this way, and it was after the teaching happened through a transmission. And she just showed me to this holding of my own body. And the gesture of holding my own body, she showed me saying that it is this essential need for self-love. And I'm not saying anything new, but I had a resistance, a huge resistance to self-love. Because that was always like Esther wanting to kind of fabricate this impossible feat of divine self-acceptance, and it really didn't work. How it worked is that I could accept Esther from a non-dual position from my higher self, but the teaching here was not that. The teaching was very direct. It wasn't from a woo-woo higher place. It was just the humanity itself needs to accept and love itself. Very direct, very simple teaching, but it was time. It was time for that. And maybe that is my own integration of that part of me that is in separation with the part of me that is not in separation. And obviously we all have moments of meeting and merging of those separated parts. But how do we allow this to abide? How do we live in the self-love? How do we love with and experience with and be with all the contradictions, all the paradoxes of the human condition. A very interesting transmission by this megalith. And I really want to give a credit to a teacher, a very lovely guide and in my life, who believed that these places were places of teaching, where we just connect to our own wisdom. And whether they're channeling the right electromagnetic field, or whether we are collaborating through our holographic field with theirs, the teachings will automatically be imbued. And some of us are more prone to accept the teaching from some place and not another. So this megalith was my teacher, very direct teacher, not just this place, but this was something that truly shook me. And maybe I was just ready for it as well. These are very, very, very old technologies, spiritual technologies. I wanted to put a year to it, but I don't want to because it's senseless. Okay, so today we're going to work on bringing together the fragmented, splintered off places, soul fragments from our hologram. We're going to magnetize it back to a unity, a whole, back into our core. And we do this through this power of the remembrance of the light. The light is always here, it's always uniting. But as soon as you shed light on the separatedness, on the fissure, on the chasm, it starts merging back together. It just does it on its own. And interestingly, I have been on this path for a long time as a seeker, and I heard stories about self-love, and I always neglected it and criticized it. And at that moment, I was ready. I was actually ready to receive that direct teaching, which was visceral. It wasn't a mental teaching. It was an embodied teaching. So the path is never what we imagine it to be. This is how I started today's talk. And we're going to start learning, it's a tool, how to recollect fragmented parts of our soul hologram through the power of our light. You can use this technique anytime. Okay, it's very simple, but it takes a bit of practice. Okay. Let's just sit with a straight spine, or you can also lie down, but make sure that you don't fall asleep. I'm just going to set the space and connect with each other around the fire of consciousness, and start feeling your heart as a flame. In yogic practices, whenever you are trying to lift the Kundalini force all the way past your third eye and past your crown. It's almost like a vacuum. You're from the bottom of your spine, you're like bringing up this force with the help, finally, the position of your tongue and eyes. And if you're energetically sensitive, you will see how these are also mudras. They're not just hand movements. They're these subtle adjustments of your anatomy that then activates the necessary neuronal availability of your brain and nervous system, so that some processes can start taking place in a more subtle planes. And that is one of the definitions of your Kriya. And then once we do the technique, we also start the visualization. Okay, so you can connect to your spine and just see that the spine is like a water fountain. And there's this pushing force from the bottom of your spine. You can even go lower, go a bit lower. We're going down into your Earth star. It's like half a meter below your feet. And then even deeper to the core of this planet. And you see that you're connecting already to the transcended, neutral divine being, this planet. And its force is gushing through your Earth star, your feet, your knees, coming through your tailbone and pushing its force up through all the chakras past your head. And that's happening at all times. It's not just when we do a concentration exercise. And now, the way you can strengthen the flow and make it abide, you can do this on a daily basis or for extended periods of time, like 15 minutes, 45 minutes. You lift your tongue up to the upper palate of your mouth, or curl it all the way back to the nostril opening from the inside of your mouth. That's a little bit harder, but at least you can just lift up your tongue. Yeah, just lift up your tongue. That is the extension of your spine. That's one. Now this you have to feel on your own. This movement of your eyes happens with practice. Close your eyes, have your spine straight, have your tongue lifted up to the back, and then you lift up your eyeballs to face your third eye. So third eye is kind of the front of your head. And as soon as it's facing the third eye, you at once have it facing upward through the third eye and also lifting it down to the back side of your head. So third eye, and just as it's facing upward, you also feel how it settles. It almost like makes a curve down to the back of your head. it does it on its own, but if it doesn't, let's just try to feel the front of our head as we're looking up and the back side of the head at the same time. Lift your tongue up to the upper palate. There are these movements of your awareness as your tongue moves to the upper palate. The eyes move to your third eye, front of your head, and kind of settle into the back side of your head. It's one movement, but you can feel both. Feel into it. Feel into the front and the back, and the front and the back. Why? Because we are drawing all of our senses backwards, back, back, back. We're drawing them away from the outside world. This is your key right now, to peel yourself away from your experiential reality on the outside to the experiential reality on the inside. Peel it away, bring it back. Because we are moving deeper and deeper into stillness. Bring it back. Deeper and deeper into this place that is not in separation. And there's this next step. Once you have your tongue rolled up, eyes looking up and also to the back side of your head, front, back. That is playing with your left and right brain hemisphere. And as soon as you get this eye movement and the tongue movement, you drop into your central channel, the central pranic channel, which is the pillar of light of your spine. So you automatically are connected to your spine, the pillar of God. And just see that you are receiving this effulgent, crystalline, golden white light. It's as if this golden downpour of light that's happening through your crown, from the cosmic core, for the multiversal core, from source. And know that the more you slow down, paradoxically, you are raising your frequency. The more you slow down, you're raising your frequency. And what you're doing automatically is plugging into that being that is not in separation. You look upwards and a little bit to the back side of your head. And you have the awareness of the spine as this open channel. And notice, it's so beautiful, an instant transmission. You have full body awareness from head to toe. You become your own megalith. We become the resonating frequency of source for each other. Tuning forks that are tuning our physical vessels, mental vessels, emotional vessels, spiritual vessels. To merge with their source, the undifferentiated, divine awareness. You look up, bit down, play with front of your head, back side of your head, and find this beautiful movement of your eyes look up and then settle towards the back of the head. And your tongue looking upward. You plug into the central channel. There is your power, where you can allow yourself to clean the slate. Clean the slate. Every single day, clean the slate from all the expressions, impression, feeling, thought. Allow your wisdom to see your own wisdom. That all of the gradations, nuances of being, vyakta or avyakta, manifest or unmanifest, are all but manifestation of God. manifestations of the self in repose, in stillness, in love, as a sovereign gushing forth of light. Have your eyes look up, feel the backside of your head at the same time. Your tongue touch the top palate. And from this position, just widen your central channel. Feel that your spine is as wide as your body. It's a very powerful Kriya. Divine downpour of the lightless light. Allow this channel that your bodies are the channels of divine light. Allow to attune to this immense frequency. The frequency of your highest soul frequency, the highest possible attunement. And notice that everything, all manifestation is part of it. All manifestation is just a pulsation of your soul being one. With the divine body, experiencing itself as a multitude. And now, when the central channel is open, receptive, go to the level of your heart from the backside, backside. And see that the heart is receiving this ever effulgent downpour. We're just talking from a bodily level now. We have manifested the vessels. Just feel that the heart is so open, so unconditionally open. It's moving its own awareness throughout 12 gradations of itself, from the first layer, which is just the emotional heart, all the way through the cosmic heart, all the way to source. These are all gradations of your heart. And just feel that there is a downpour into the heart space. Aided by the central channel, your connectivity, so divine. Remember the connectivity. And now the immense magnetism of your pure heart. Look up, have the awareness of the backside of the head, tongue up, full awareness of your body, full awareness of your central channel, from also the heart. And just see that the backside of your heart starts magnetizing. It becomes a sun, the inner sun, a sun, ever effulgent inner sun. Feel its power. It's being fed. It never ceases to be fed. No karmic blocks, grantees, no karma acquired from this time, from this birth, can overshadow your divine access. And just visualize that this immense magnetic force of the heart, stabilized by the central channel, which is traversing all the dimensions, starts to magnetize all of the fragmented soul pieces to itself. You don't make sense of any of the emotions, feelings, thoughts, sensations. It doesn't matter. You're just bringing it back to yourself. Zero pointing it, calling it, allowing it. All of the times we have identified with immense suffering, immense pain, immense illness, immense separation, immense solitude. Bring it back. You're just unconditionally drawing it back, 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 back. Just become the place where you assemble, reassemble all of your soul fragments from all space-time, all incarnations, parallel timeline. Allow. Notice the immense power of the heart's magnetism. So powerful. Notice that this magnetism has the effulgence of the golden crystalline white light. The place of benediction. If images of you from childhood come up, they're coming back to reunite to your original wholeness. If people's faces flash, bring them back into the heart. If fears come up, submerge them into this magnetic effulgence. And at this point, you became the sun, the golden sphere of your wholeness from all space-time, reassembled. Just stay here. Stay in this part that is not in separation. Healing the pain of your heart, pain of your mind, pain of your energy. Can slowly let go of the mudra. Tongue down, eyeballs can rest, and slowly open your eyes very slowly. You're not concentrating, it's a soft gaze forward. From that part of you that is not in separation. That beautiful witnessing from that part of you that is not in separation. It's always witnessing patiently, lovingly, embodiedly, abidingly, beyond judgment, beyond pain, beyond clutching and grasping. And notice, just tap into the heart. The heart is part of this mechanism, this divine spiritual mechanism. And as it reassembled itself from all of the fragments splintered off in space-time, it reassembled itself so it is, so that it can shine forth. The grace of its light. It's no more a yearning, a seeking, a muscling. It's just here right now, reassembled in divine perfection. So it is.